Hi friends, and welcome back to another weekly astrology forecast. This week we are having a couple of pretty intense aspects happening, specifically more for Taurus and Aquarius placements and also for Cancer and Aries placements. We're going to dive into that and see how these aspects that are going to be happening throughout the week are going to be affecting us on a collective scale, so you can better prepare for the energies and essentially work through the energies of this week, knowing that this too shall pass. And next month, going into June, we actually have some really great aspects happening. I'm really excited for June. We're having some great stuff. We're going to dive into that as well. But just quickly going over what do we have going on for this upcoming week of May 24th to May 30th. So the biggest aspect, the most difficult aspect that I'm kind of worried about that's happening this week is happening on Tuesday, where we're having Mars square Pluto. Mars is in the sign of Taurus and Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius. Both of these planets are pretty intense. They both have to do with like power and control and domination. They usually have to do with the more darker aspects and more harsher aspects of life and reality in general. So the fact with Mars being in the sign of Taurus, it's at its fall in the sign of Taurus. It doesn't really work well in the sign of Taurus. Mars likes to move and get things done as quickly as possible, but Taurus, it very much likes to stay in its comfort zone. Taurus likes to keep things the way that they are, and it doesn't really like to change or move if it's not entirely completely necessary. And even if it is, it's very slow to move and very slow to change. However, Pluto and Aquarius is kind of an opposite energy in the sense that Pluto wants to change, it wants to grow, it wants to transform, it wants to evolve to newer levels of being. And being in Aquarius, it's about future thinking, it's about moving towards things in a future sense, thinking about things on a grander scale, what is best for the future of society at large, right? So it has a very big vision and it wants to make these changes that move towards this big vision. But Mars being in the sign of Taurus can kind of bring tension to this aspect. That's why it's in a square. A square is an aspect of tension. There's a push and a pull between Pluto and Aquarius wanting to move forward, change, and transform into something great, new, and innovative. And Mars is like, but I kind of like the way things are right now. I feel comfortable the way things are right now. I'm tired, I'm comfortable. I kind of just want to enjoy things right now. Like, can we just not do things right now? Can we just chill? Can we just stay? That's kind of what Mars and Taurus is feeling like. And overall, as a collective, we may be feeling this energy of like, yes, we realize something needs to change. We realize something needs to grow and evolve, especially because we are in Gemini season. We do have the sun in Gemini. We have Uranus in Gemini, making positive aspects to this Pluto. So we do have energy that's feeding into this Pluto of wanting to make a change, of wanting to move forward, of having all of these ideas, because Gemini is very mental and so is Aquarius. It's a lot of mental energy, a lot of ideas and things going up here. But when it comes to our physical body, which is very Taurus, it's kind of like stuck. It's kind of slow. It's kind of like, yeah, I have all these things going. I have all these ideas. I have all these visions and dreams and things that I want to move forward on. But something within the body is kind of just like resisting and it's holding back and it's not wanting to move. And it's like, but it feels so comfortable here. It feels so secure here and stable, even if it's not entirely. Even if it's not entirely, there's still some sense of comfort that the body is deriving from staying where we are. And like I said, I don't want you to see this as like a completely negative aspect. This is just the way things are feeling right now. So as we build up to this energy, I'm planning on posting this video on Sunday, and chances are you've already been feeling this energy because this is a buildup. This is a pretty big, intense energy that's been building up over the past few days. And as we reach that point where it reaches its exact square on Tuesday, That's when we may notice like this extreme feeling of like this push and pull of like knowing you need to do something. And it can bring a lot of distress. It can bring a lot of uncomfortability of knowing like I want to move forward, but I also feel like I can't move forward at the same time. It's not the right time. It doesn't feel like the timing is entirely right. However, as we move forward and on in the next few weeks, and as Mars continues to move through Taurus, Mars will eventually make its way into Gemini, in where it will actually make a positive aspect to this Pluto and Aquarius. And then we will finally be able to feel the energy within our body, not just in our mind, not just intellectually. We'll finally have the fire within us to execute on all of these ideas and all of these visions that we have going on. But right now, it may not feel like the right time. Right now, it may feel a little bit slow to get off of the ground, and that's totally normal, and that's totally okay. Have some grace, give yourself some grace. Be patient with yourself. Taurus is all about having patience. Although your mental energy is definitely going, and there's a lot of things that are like, you need to go, you need to move, you need to do things, you need to act. You can't act on everything, right? So maybe pick one or two things that you do feel comfortable acting on and do those things, but don't beat yourself up about the things, about not acting on everything, about not being able to move forward on everything. Because right now, there are still bits and pieces of us that are still waiting for the right moment, that are still, reserving our energy so that we can actually execute properly on these ideas and on these visions with the time, with the groundedness that we're getting from this Taurus energy. Because Taurus likes to wait before it acts. It likes to really be patient and think about things before it acts. Granted, sometimes that can mean that you missed the bus because you took way too long to act. You took way too much time to think everything through, and the deadline to actually make the choice or decision passed you by and you didn't get to do it. That's not going to be the case with everything. So obviously, like I said, take stock of what it is that you're going through, whatever it is that's showing up in your life. This is more specifically going to be showing up for people that have very prominent Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio placements, the fixed signs. If you have any placements between 0 and 10 degrees of those signs, you will be feeling this energy a lot more heavily. Once again, just know that it's just part of the current energy of the time. Pick and choose what is it that you want to focus your energy on and move forward on that. Realize that you can't move forward and execute super quickly on everything that you have ideas for right now. You're not acting from a place of just like anxiety and needing to get things done and just like, ooh, because that's kind of the energy that's building up here right now when the body's like, but we need to rest. So the beginning of the week starts off with that tension. And then as we move on towards the ending of the week, so on Thursday, we're having another kind of tense aspect of the week, which is going to be Venus square Saturn. So Venus is just recently moved into the sign of Cancer, and Saturn has been in the sign of Aries for the past few weeks already, and they are now meeting into a square. When Venus makes a square with Saturn, once again, a square is an aspect of tension. Saturn brings restriction, it brings boundaries, like blocks, things that are holding you back. Venus is about our relationships. It also has to do with money. And so this week we can notice maybe themes about our money, our finances, our relationships. Something about that is being blocked. There are boundaries being put up. It may seem like it's kind of hard to reach. Maybe there are new boundaries being set up in the relationships around us. This is going to be felt even more so if you have Venus, or if you have any placements within Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, or Libra, because this is going to be happening in more prominent places in your chart. It's going to be affecting the cardinal signs a little bit stronger. Specifically, once again, if you're in the beginning, I would say 10 degrees of that sign, so 0 to 10 degrees of Cancer, Aries, Libra, or Capricorn, you may be feeling this a little bit more intensely. Granted, once again, these aspects are all transitory. This is what's happening this week. coming in the next few weeks ahead in June, we are having one of the most positive and beneficial aspects of the entire year. We're going to have Venus meeting up with Jupiter, which is known to be the luckiest day of the year in astrology. This happens once a year, but happening in the sign of Cancer, where Jupiter is exalted. This is going to be a very beautiful time, especially for Cancer placements. If you have any placements within that area of Cancer, I will talk more about it in that upcoming forecast. But for now, for this week, that's mainly going to be the biggest themes that are going to be showing up. So we do have a bit of tension this week. We do have a bit of restriction showing up this week, push and a pull, feeling of stubbornness, feeling like we need to move forward, but there's also a part of us that needs to hold back. Listen to your body, give yourself some grace, and realize that it's all a part of the process. Write down all of the ideas and all of the things that you want to move forward on, because there will come a time as we move forward and continue on into Gemini season, there will come a time where you will actually feel a lot more motivation, determination to actually get these things done and move forward on them in a physical sense. Now, as I usually do, I like to pull some tarot cards for the week. We're going to pull an overall energy card, we're going to pull a challenge card, and we're going to pull an advice card for the week. So, using my animal tarot deck, which I love so very much. So for the overall energy of the week, we have the Queen of Winter, which is the leopard. Love her. Love her. It says, experienced, self-sufficient, brilliant, and funny. All of your life experiences have prepared you for this moment of truth. It is time to declutter your home, clear away situations that aren't working for you anymore, and disengage from people who create more drama than happiness. You know, now that this card comes up for the energy of this week, Mars and Venus both being aspected this week, and both of them being relationship-oriented signs, and Pluto being very well known for uncovering truths of situations. There could be a truth that gets uncovered with this Mars square Pluto that maybe leads to some sort of discourse or disagreement, that leads to some anger or outburst, because Mars and Pluto coming together in a square is definitely signs of like anger, outbursts, suppressed anger coming out, very intense, like very intense emotions that may have been kept under the surface, or even certain truths coming out in like a way that hurts almost, because Mars rules things like knives and cutting, and it's painful, right? So it could bring up some sort of painful truth, some painful awareness comes up to the surface as we build up to this energy on Tuesday with Mars square Pluto, which then, you know, leads you into the position of the Queen of Winter, where, okay, now you have this awareness, now you have this understanding, you are able to release whatever anger or emotions that came up. And because of that, now it's time to clear space. Now it's time to remove people, situations, and things from your life that don't serve you, or maybe have been adding more drama into your life as opposed to happiness. You're now going to be able to see things clearly, and it might be because of some disagreement. It might be because of something that was said in a very negative way, like someone finally says something out loud and it confirms all of your suspicions or belief that this person maybe didn't like you, or they had it out for you, or something like that. You know, like that's kind of the energy that's like coming out here. This card's been coming up a lot recently in the readings. This is for the advice card for the week. We have the Unity. It's the polar bear, and it says, embrace this time of deep spiritual growth. You may feel called to act as a mentor, find a new teacher, or spend time with others who are also on the sacred path. So the advice card, definitely not doing this alone. If you may, you know, have to cut ties with certain people, you may have to cut certain people out of your life with this Mars square Pluto, exposing any toxicity, any negativity that was in your life. But realizing that there's always people around you who do support you. Realize that there are people around you who do care about you, and seek those people out. Even if you haven't spoken to them in a long time, or maybe you aren't really sure of the type of people who are around you who do support you, know that there are people in this world who do support you and who have your back and who have your side. You may just not fully see them or recognize them yet because you were fully entrenched or surrounded by people or situations that didn't really have your best interests at heart. And so it's up to you to, you know, number one, cut ties and move away from these old situations that perhaps aren't serving you. But then by doing so, you're opening yourself up and you're opening your energy and your channel up to bring in these people who do care about you. Okay, and so for the challenge card for this week, I feel like this card perfectly encapsulates everything that we were talking about with the astrology reading. We have the Two of Autumn, the Abyssinian cat. I believe this represents like the Two of Pentacles and the typical tarot. So cute, I love him. It says you may be under stress because of multiple jobs or too many responsibilities for one person to manage. It's important to balance your work and personal life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. So definitely, you know, resonating with everything that we were speaking about earlier. There's going to be a lot of things. It seems like a lot of things are happening in your day-to-day life, whether you have to juggle a lot of responsibilities physically or just like mentally. Definitely try to make sure that you're incorporating some fun into your life, that you're incorporating some play, you're going into flow states, because constantly being in the mind, constantly worrying about everything you have to do and all of the obligations and responsibilities that you have can definitely weigh us down and can turn us off from the joy and the love that there is in this life that is offered to us, right? So making sure that you're taking time to detach yourself from all of your obligations, from your responsibilities, so you do make some time for play, for some fun, for some flow, and bringing that into your life. That's going to help you stay a little bit more centered and more grounded and not feel so like frazzled and like you have so many things to do and still like you know, because that's kind of the energy that I'm getting with this week. It's kind of like a very like electrifying type of energy, like ooh, like I need to do something, but like at the same time my body feels so heavy. Does that make sense? It's like the inside feels like electrifying, but the actual physical body feels heavy and like it can't move. Kind of like when you're in a dream and you're like trying to run and your body's like not running and like someone's chasing you and you're like, oh my god, like why are my legs not moving? That's kind of what I'm feeling this energy with this week. It's like you have this energy and you want to run and you want to move and you want to just go, and there's something within the body that's like, no, wait, slow down, not yet, not right now. So that is the overall energy of the week. Let me know down below how this reading resonates with you. How are you feeling this week? What your sun, moon, and rising are. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. If you're interested in booking a personal reading as well, I have them linked down below in the description on my website. You can find them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.